What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking the latest episode of WWE Break It Down featuring AJ Styles. So this episode went up on Friday, and all the other ones are well worth watching. We've had ones with Ricochet, I think was the latest one before this one, Trish Stratus, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens. This one, being a big AJ fan, I thoroughly enjoyed, although I think it is the shortest of the bunch so far. It clocks in at only 10 minutes. Some of the other ones are like 15, 18, 13, whatever, 12. This one's like 10 minutes, so it's a quick watch, well worth watching, and covers his biggest and best battles in WWE to date. The first one being his debut in the 2016 Royal Rumble match. He said, and he said this in many interviews since then, that he didn't know if anyone would remember who he was because he had spent the last 2 years in Japan prior to that point. He left TNA at the onset of 2014, went to New Japan Pro Wrestling right after that, won the top title, I think on day one from Okada, if I remember correctly, and he was there up until he went to WWE in January of 2016. Now, he did spend some time in Ring of Honor, but it's still a long time to be out of the public eye. And he did say Orlando was perfect, did not say why, that he's from TNA, which is based out of Orlando, but he said it was the perfect place for him to debut, and the pressure was real. But he stepped in the ring for the first time with Roman Reigns, which he said no better opponent for his first opponent in WWE. And he had a relationship with Kevin Owens from the independent scene, so why not get eliminated by Kevin Owens on this evening? The next match we see, or matches really, were the ones with John Cena from Money in the Bank 2016, the first match, and the second match from SummerSlam 2016, which I had the pleasure of being there in attendance for, which was a great match. One of my favorite matches as a fan. He said that no one expected the beat-up John Cena thing to become a big catchphrase, as much of a catchphrase as it was, but it took off. It got to be funny, and he just said being in the ring, the same ring as John Cena, was what made him. Not beating John Cena, but being in the same ring as John Cena, which I disagree with. Being in the same ring with John Cena, yeah, it helped establish him as a top talent, but so was fucking Ryback. And that did not make Ryback. It didn't make all these other guys, that lost to him, the Nexus, they lost. Didn't exactly make, AJ Styles. Beating John Cena, not once, but twice, specifically the second time when he beat him clean, absolutely made AJ the top star that he is. Had he not beaten Cena that night, or had done it with, had lost to him, or won via interference again, he would be remembered as a loser. Not as a loser, but not, be as much of a top talent as he is currently in WWE. But he did say that he does call John Cena a mastermind in terms of his psychology and how he moves in the ring. He said there are two complete opposites, which is exactly why when you put them together, they can just make magic. And there is no one that he would rather be in the ring with. The next match we see is of the match that he had with Kevin Owens from the MSG Live event in July of 2017, July 7th to be exact. It wasn't his first time at Madison Square Garden. He had competed there before with WWE, I think way back in 2016. But it was it's a different atmosphere, than anywhere else he's ever performed before, simply because the history of that building is like no other. And it was on that night that he won the United States Championship, which is a very rare thing for a championship to change hands on a house show. And, he said having that United States Championship has always been very special to him, having been, just being proud to be an American. The next match they break down is the match with Shinsuke Nakamura from WrestleMania 34 for the WWE Championship. He said the biggest difference between this match and the match from Japan, which they show pictures of, by the way, as well as matches he had in Ring of Honor and in TNA, which is cool. But he said the biggest difference between the Mania match and the Wrestle Kingdom match, I think it was Wrestle Kingdom 12, if I'm not mistaken, was that it was WrestleMania, and both matches were fun. Both times it was fun. Nakamura, being who he was and being unique as he is, makes him memorable. His kicks are amazing, he says. He says that he's a real badass, and he recalls Nakamura turning heel afterward. And he said that the WWE Championship, holding that title, meant everything to him. That's why you put it all on the line. His job is to entertain, and it doesn't get much better than that, to do it as the WWE Champion. He held it for over a year, which also meant everything to him. And now he has something to brag about. I enjoyed the match. It wasn't nearly as good as it could have been. It was definitely a disappointment. I wouldn't expect him to say that here on this WWE special. But it was cool to see him, relive that rivalry from 2018 between the two. The last match he breaks down is with Seth Rollins when they clashed for the Universal Championship in Money in the Bank 2019. Another match I had the pleasure of being in attendance for, which was just an amazing match. And kind of a forgotten gem from 2019. But he said there was history there as they go back way back when, to when AJ faced Rollins when Rollins was 18 years old. They didn't show the footage here, they didn't show the pictures, but they do show the footage of that match in Rollins' documentary, the Redesign, Rebuild, Reclaim documentary, the 24 that they put out on him about 4 years ago. But he remembers from that time that he told Rollins that he had it, and that he was very excited to revisit that match in WWE all these years later. Maybe 18 years later, I want to say, or something along those lines. But maybe not 18, because Rollins was 18 at the time. He ain't 36 now. I think he's 34. So it was probably over a dozen, over a dozen years later, about 15 years later. Anyway, so he remembers the Styles Clash spot from their match at Money in the Bank when Rollins went for the curb stomp and he turned it into a Styles Clash. I lost my fucking shit when he did that in the building. I lost my shit. That was such a cool spot. He said that Rollins got the best of AJ Styles on that night, and he was very proud of him afterward. He was very delighted to be in the ring with him and very delighted to have a great match with Seth Rollins. So to close it out, again, like I said, this thing is very short. He remembers, remembering these great matches is really cool for him. He can't express how much gratitude that he has for John Cena. And the matches with Nakamura and Rollins, he really enjoyed as well, and he's very happy to have a lot of great memories. And that was it for this edition of WWE Break It Down. Very short, but very short, sweet, and to the point. And if you're as big of an AJ Styles fan as I am, then I think you'll enjoy this, reliving AJ's biggest battles and best matches so far in his WWE stint. So check it out right now on the WWE Network. It went up on Friday. And also be sure to like the video, drop a comment on this video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. We should be back tomorrow right here on the channel with my review of Chapter 2 of Undertaker: The Last Ride, also available right now on the WWE Network. So until then, guys, enjoy the rest of your week, and I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.